All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Get Your Students Fired Up with FinLit. We are pleased to welcome Amanda Harris today. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Amanda works as an education services specialist for EVERFI and resides in Las Vegas. She works primarily with Nevada and New Mexico schools, providing educator training, professional development, lessons with students, and more. Her passion for education led her to earning her MED and serving as a licensed teacher. During her 10 years plus of experience working with students and educators, she was dedicated to supporting the needs of all students. Amanda's passion for education and learning continues as she helps provide districts, schools, and teachers with access to no-cost, real-world digital resources for their students. Thanks so much for joining us today, Amanda, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Joan, for that. And thank you for those of you who are joining us today. Super excited to share with you more about EVERFI and the digital lessons that we provide. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So Joan already gave me a very lovely introduction. I appreciate that. I'd love to hear where you guys are coming from as well, or what district you teach in. Then we'll get into an overview of our library of our K-12 courses that we offer, of course, focusing more on our financial literacy and social studies courses. And then I'll help you all get started. So hopefully you're able to get registered, and I'll share with you how we can do that. And then we'll leave some time at the end for questions as well, and hopefully answered. All right. But if you can do me a favor first, it's kind of, those of you who are educators, you have those back to school nights or open houses, and we have those sign-in sheets. This is basically like my sign-in sheet. So if you have your phone, you can do it. It's really quick from your phone. There's a QR code there, but there's also a link that the one that I sent to Joan, and she'll drop that in the chat for those of you, if you find it easier to just click on the link. And then if you can just complete that form for me, that would be great. If for some reason someone pops in later in the session, we could just share that link with them again. But I also have the QR code at the end of the session as well. Like Joan mentioned, I work for EVERFI. I am an education support specialist. If I've ever worked with any of you before, my title was implementation specialist. Same thing. They kind of just restructured us a little bit. And with that also came with a team that kind of focuses more, a little bit of everything instead of the implementation specialist doing all of the support. So we have even more people to support you throughout the process. So the email that I'm going to share later will be like, if you needed ongoing support, or like, hey, I need help setting up my classes. Of course, you can always reach out to me, but my colleague Karen is also readily available to help in those moments. You might be right in the middle of class, but I might be in something like this where I'm doing a professional development or working with a teacher at the time. So we want to make sure that you have support at your fingertips every step of the way. Just another thing I wanted to share about myself is that I do live in Las Vegas. All of my kids have gone through Clark County School District here in Las Vegas. Our two oldest graduated last year, class of 2023, and our youngest is 7th grade. And they were all been in magnet school, so super proud about that. And I've worked in various roles here in Clark County as well. All right, so let's get started. Let me tell you a little bit about EVERFI, because a lot of times people are really curious, right? About, what is EVERFI? How is it free? Or what are all these courses, where they're coming from? What do you guys do exactly? So I do want to share more about that. But first, I want to hear how familiar are you with EVERFI? On a scale from 1 to 5. Sometimes I even have zeros where it's like, I've never heard about you at all until now. So that's totally okay if that's the case. 1 or 2 being, yes, I've heard about it. I've dibbled and dabbled with it, but maybe you haven't used it yet with your students or in your school yet. So just tell me, and if you've used EVERFI before, tell me something you love or like about it. I'd love to hear from you. And if you could also share what district you're from, that would be wonderful, or what city you're in, that will be great as well.
So Kayla did a little recon before she came and Googled the site yesterday. She's from Sparks up
Love
north.
it. Thank you. Welcome, Kayla. Thank you for that.
And Kimberly indicated number 2, and she is located in CCSD here in Henderson.
Okay, awesome. Wonderful, wonderful. Great. Thank you. And I've worked in the classroom with some Henderson teachers as well. And I've also worked with some teachers up north virtually. And I did a conference in Reno last summer with partnership with Nevada Department of Education. So great. Thank you guys both so much for that. Let's go ahead and get started. So great. We're going to learn more about EVERFI. So you might hear this a lot throughout my session or when you're working with EVERFI or even on our website. Our main goal is to teach students all about those real world learning skills, right? We believe in the whole child. And when we're talking about the whole child, yes, we're talking about math, science, technology, ELA, but we're also talking about that financial education. We're also talking about that character educational, emotional intelligence. We're talking about health and wellness. We're talking about all of these topics and skill sets and learnings that are going to benefit them beyond the classroom and throughout their whole entire life. So we've been in the business with our digital lessons for over 15 years now, and all of our courses are standard aligned, and we provide educators, counselors, districts, administrators with these lessons completely free of charge, including my support. So all of our lessons are offline resources, so you access them through the learning platform. And we have a network of over 750,000 educators across North America. All right. And so again, just going back to educating that whole child. So we're talking about financial education, STEM and career readiness, character education, health and wellness, which I have a session on that right after this one, history, early academic readiness, right? And so when we're talking about all of these different learning skills, we are talking about the whole child, right? From head to toe, right? We're getting into that social emotional learning, but we're also wanting to make sure that there's career opportunities. We want them to understand how they can finance their post-secondary education. We want them to understand what saving is. We want them to understand history beyond what might be in the text. So whole child. All right, so here are some benefits of EVERFI. We have a library of over 40 turnkey lessons, and they're all interactive and gamified. So all of the lessons I'm going to talk about with you today are all gamified so that they could connect to those students, and the students find them really fun, but they're learning at the same time. And when we're talking about turnkey, I'm saying all the lessons are done for you. And we have accompanying activities and supplemental lessons that will even bring those digital lessons to life, but you could use them. So we have teachers, educators that are using it in as their curriculum. You know, they might not have curriculum. They're teaching an exploration class or financial education class or economics class, or they're a counselor and they don't have the curriculum that they need. So they might use us as a way to, you know, expand on the topics that they're learning, or they're wanting their students to learn. But also our supplemental lessons will extend that learning. So even though maybe one of the courses is only 30 minutes long, you can extend that with the activities that are already completed for you as well. There's real-time reporting, so you can see your students' knowledge and their growth. The grading is done for you. I have not met an educator. I know for me, that's one of my favorite parts, because grading is so time-consuming, as we all know. And so the grading is done for you, and you can track the grading and the progress in the learning platform, which we'll get a chance to see what that looks like a little later. And then you have personalized ongoing support, right? You have an email, phone number, someone right at your fingertips that you can contact throughout the school year. We have training and learning opportunities and professional development opportunities as well. All right, this is just a snapshot of our entire K-12 network. As you can see, we work with over 13,000 districts and networks. We have over 5.8 million student learners. So we're expanding globally throughout North America. We're super excited about that. As we grow and grow, we're able to reach more and more students, and that's really helpful for all of us, really, right? And then we like to make it easy. We don't want to add to our teachers' plates, right? And so you might hear me say often, like, hey, let me take something off of your plate, because sometimes things might just become overwhelming, right? Or maybe you need an emergency plan, or perhaps, you know, the content or the coursework that you're working with, or the curriculum that you're using, maybe it's not enough, and you need maybe that appetizer to introduce the lesson, or you need that dessert, right, to close out that lesson, and then you already have a summative assessment to do just that. But I just want to reiterate that we are always free. And a lot of times people are like, hey, how are you free? Like, nothing in life is free, right? I know growing up, that's what my parents have always told me. Money doesn't grow on a tree. Nothing in life is free. Somebody somewhere is paying for it, and you're absolutely right. Someone is paying for it. So we have tons of partners and sponsors that help make it possible and help make all of our curriculum, reporting, lessons, my support, our training sessions, our professional development are completely free, thanks to our local and national sponsors. And these are just a few that are specific to Nevada. There's actually hundreds, but the Las Vegas Golden Knights. I don't know if we have any hockey fans in here, but yes, go Knights. They sponsor one of our sports and STEM courses. We have Zell, we have the Las Vegas Raiders, right, that are new to Las Vegas as well, but they sponsor all of Nevada. So all of Nevada, because those are our Nevada teams. And so they sponsor our character education and health and mental wellness course. And then we have Kroger, Mass Mutual, Intuit, Wells Fargo, the Silver State Schools Credit Union, if any of you bank with them. So all our sponsors, right? And so the list goes on, and they work directly with us to make this possible. So we're thankful for them as well. And I always like to point them out, because a lot of times people don't know, and we want more. So they do have their donations in other areas in education. My computer. There we go. All right, and so this is just a quote from a middle school student. My experience with EVERFI has been one of the most rewarding I have ever had. It integrated my interest in truly understanding investing. We do have an investing financial literacy course. By using the financial skills I gained from EVERFI, as well as the social skills I gained, I have earned an internship under an accountant. I think that's really cool. We do like to share what some of the teachers and students are saying in the community, because it's very powerful. We also have scholarship opportunities I'm going to talk about later. So sometimes our students who've earned those scholarships will do videos and send in messages like this as well. And our scholarships are not just for high school students, they're for all of our students. So it just depends on the course that they're working on, determines their eligibility. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit more about our learning platform, what that looks like, what you'll have access to on our learning platform. So one thing is you'll be able to explore our courses. So once we set up your account, if you haven't already, you'll be able to actually get into your teacher learning platform, and you'll be able to explore the courses there. You'll be able to access the library of all of our courses. We have explore tabs there. You'll be able to preview the courses so you can see exactly what your students are seeing. So you'll be able to select details, and then you'll be able to preview course from there. And then when you first log in, there might be recommendations for courses based off of what grade level or age that you've told the platform that you teach. So you'll have some recommendations, but you'll be able to toggle and select all. So that way you're able to see all of the courses available. And if at any time there's a course that says request, you can request it. It doesn't cost anything, but that just means that, oh, maybe you've said that you're a 10th grade teacher, but you really want your students to start with this vault course, which is usually recommended for like 4th through middle school, but it's because my students aren't even understanding that. I really want them to start here, request it, you'll get immediate access to it. So it just means that the system has tried to, figure out what might be best for your students, but it's just a recommendation. Doesn't mean that you only can use those courses. And I have a lot of even special education teachers that will use all of them, right? They'll use our elementary courses and their high school teachers, because like we always do as educators, we're meeting our students where they are, right? So just want you to know that all of the courses are available to you based off of because you know your students more than we do. There's also planning resources there where you'll be able to access curriculum guides and standard alignments if it's available there. I am going to share a standard alignment with you guys. If I'm able to get the link working before we leave, I'll give it to you guys. Otherwise, it'll be sent to you later. So I'll be able to get your contact information from the sign-in sheet. We created it for Clark County School District. But all of Nevada, works with the Nevada Academic Content Standards. So it applies to anyone really who uses any of the Common Core content standards. And it'll directly align to specific standards. So I think it's really cool. My district lead, who works with the top people above my pay grade with the Clark County School District, she created it, and she spent a lot of time and did really amazing on it. That's another thing I like to say, like everybody who I work with EVERFI have been educators at some point in their life. So we definitely like to remember that part when we are creating a content and resources for you guys. But yes, so you'll be able to have right at your fingertips on your teacher dashboard, lesson plans, activities, all done for you. You could even, if you're using Curriculum Engine or something else for your lessons plans, that might be, are we still using Curriculum Engine? I'm not sure, but if we, so anything that you use, if required by your admin for lesson plans, you could even copy and paste them right in there. So literally turnkey right at your fingertips. All right, so assigning courses. So you'll be able to assign the courses to your students. There's a couple of ways. So I know Kimberly, she's in Clark County School District. We have an MOU with several districts throughout Nevada, but in partnership with all of our districts throughout Nevada. But our specific MOU with Clark County School District makes it possible for you to register and get started right through Clever. So that's super exciting. It does make it really quick and fast and easy to just log right in there through Clever and get started and assign students through your Clever sections. But just as easy if you have to log in the traditional way and set up your classes just using a code. There's the days of, I know these type of platforms are still around where you have to manually enter your students and all of that. Like, no, who wants to do that? So that you do not have to do that, even through the traditional login route. So yes.
Is that true for Northern Nevada too, that it's integrated into Clever?
So I don't think all of our Northern Nevada districts, I know, oh my gosh.
Kayla, I'm guessing
I want to say Washoe.
right?
Yeah,
What,
I'm looking and it doesn't look like it's
yeah,
like I
what,
can get to EVERFI from Clever, but it doesn't look like it has any of my students or anything like that. Like,
oh, so are you in Washoe? Because that's the
yeah,
one, yeah. So Washoe, and that's what I was just saying. So
yeah,
you are Clever enabled. I help you. Your students aren't going to auto-populate until they get started, which I'll go over. Yep. So Clark County School District and Washoe, yes.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So you wouldn't be able to see it when you log into Clever at all if it wasn't. But yeah, I had right at the we all started talking at the same time. I was like, I'm pretty sure Washoe. Yes. All right. So super exciting. So great. So everything I talk about, I'll be skipping through a lot of slides later because we're all clever here. Yay. um, all right. And then you'll have access to your grade book, which this is kind of small probably, but if you kind of see like those little green dots, they kind of look like dots from here. That means that your students have earned 70% or higher. If it's red, that means they scored below 70%. The great thing about EVERFI is they can retake those lessons as often as you allow them to, or you want them to, or they want to. The only way to get certified in the course is to be green straight across, like, right, straight across here. Then this last column will turn into either a yes if they got 70% or higher on all of the modules, or it'll be no until they retake it and redo it. And a lot of those students, kind of like the quote I talked about from the student in Jersey, though they're able to print those certificates. So we do have students, especially our high school students, will print those. Like if they were taking the accounting course or the EVERFI course that I'm going to talk about later, they might use those because they don't have any other experience yet if it's their first job. So they might use those certificates on their first resume. So I think that's really cool as well. But you're able to track your students' individual progress as well from here. All right, let's talk about the courses now. So out of curiosity, and you might have mentioned it, but what grade level are you all? What grade level?
I am high school, so I have all four, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th.
Awesome, great. And then what subjects do you teach?
I am a SIP teacher, so a social intervention program, but it's kind of like all subjects, so it's really
Yeah,
just whatever they need. Yeah.
so pretty much everything applies. That's great. Love that.
Yes.
Everything applies to
I
you.
have quite a few that are like, I have no idea how to make a budget. So
Right. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yay, I'm so excited that you're here. And
And
then
Kimberly
Kimberly.
shared high school math.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, I love this. Okay, great. Well, let's get started. All right, so I'm going to skip through this. I've kind of already talked about that a little bit. All of our courses are research-based learning. They're developed by content experts. And oh, we earned our ISTE still this year. I was super excited about that, which is great. If anybody's familiar with they have one of the largest conferences every year. But if you earn your ISTE still, if you're a tech or digital learning company that earns that ISTE still, that means that it's been tested, proven, aligned to their standards as well. Have a strong user interface and user experience based on best practices in digital age learning, grounded in digital pedagogy and the learning sciences. And they incorporate inclusivity and accessibility considerations for students and teachers. So love that. I think I actually am going to talk a little bit about the accessibility as well too. And this is just a few of our updates. We've had several. We have a lot of new courses this year, but these are just some updates on a few of our courses this year. But let's talk about those courses. So these next couple of slides just kind of break down all of our courses into categories. So for this session, we're going to be focusing more on financial education, and I think it's on my next slide, history, right? Our social studies for our financial literacy and social studies. All right, so we're preparing students for their financial futures. I mean, I have so many stories that my colleagues have shared, even with my kids and their peers. They just aren't understanding how money works. And even I mean, let's not even get into investing yet. Like, yes, we have courses on that, but the basics, right? And this is the basics, understanding money, really popular in our upper elementary, but I definitely have had middle school and high school students are like, you know what, I'm going to take it back. I'm going to take it back a little bit because I need to be sure that you guys are, before we get into how financing works and before we get into budgeting, before we get into saving and protecting our identities in the digital banking world, we need to understand, right, what it means setting up short-term and long-term financial goals, the value of borrowing and using credit to meet those goals, and the importance of aligning your careers to your interests and skills. And so Vault talks about all of that, right? The basics of this is our like a 101 course to digital financial education. So this course has 5 lessons, 15 minutes. So what you'll see here is that on the left side, this light blue area, this is going to be the grade level recommendation only. Doesn't mean that, you know, if you teach 7th grade or 10th grade that you can't use it. This is just a recommendation. And it'll also tell you the length of the course and how many minutes each of those lessons, how many lessons there are and how many minutes each lesson will take, and then the curriculum fit. But of course, it can be designed or used however you best see fit for your students. And then you'll also see if that course is available in other languages. Spanish and French particularly is available for Vault down here. So there's a lot of courses. I'm not necessarily going to say that for each course, you know, just kind of give you an idea of what that course is about. But I just wanted to identify where you can see that information here on these slides. And some of our courses are like super quick, like you can do it in one day. It's only 20 minutes long or 30 minutes. So if you just needed a filler for that day with something else that they're working on or finishing up, or maybe there's a test they're taking and you needed them to get started on something else immediately without disrupting your other students, courses like that could be great as well. So here's Vault. And then Future Smart, one of my favorite courses. The students in this course basically become a mayor of their own town. So they're responsible for identifying what the opportunity costs and really helping their community make real life decisions about their personal finances. And so I love this course. This is a great one. If you don't start with Vault, Future Smart is a great one to start with as well. It talks about what credit scores are, what that means. It also talks about like price of goods and inflation and deflation, which is huge right now, right? We're seeing it as consumers, as adults. So really love this course. It really helps them also tap into those leadership skills. So I think that this is a great one to start with if you don't start with Vault. And then we have a scholarship contest specifically that aligns with Future Smart and Smart Economics, which I'm going to go over later. So we have our dates finally for the deadlines for this. Highly recommend it. My son actually did Future Smart last school year, and I'm so upset at myself that I missed the deadline. I wanted him to work on the scholarship contest over the summer, but things got busy, you know, life happens. And so, but anyway, I highly recommend that you start this, tab it, take note of it. You can access all of our scholarships through your teacher platform and our website. But a total of 22 students will have a chance to win a 529 college savings plan, a gift card worth anywhere between $2,000 and $5,000. And all they have to do is complete at least 3 lessons in Future Smart, and then they're going to write about what they learned. It's probably one of the easiest scholarships they can earn, and it's for any grade level. All right, let's go.
I have a couple of questions real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so when the student looks at it, can they see the grade level recommendation So will my students see that it's for 6th to 8th graders, you
No,
know?
that's great. Great question. No, and I actually love that because we know how teenagers and preteens
Yeah,
are.
they're already like, ew, I don't want to play
Oh yeah.
games. But if
Oh
I
my
can
God.
get them to play it,
Yep.
you
Yeah,
know.
I have kids that age, so I already know. Yes, no, and I love that about it too. And especially, I actually had that question before for one of my teachers that teach special ed, because she's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, like, I don't want them to be feeling bad or any kind of
exactly.
embarrassed or any kind of, anything like that." So no, they can't see that, only you.
And then my other question is, throughout this content, is there any sort of like, I don't know, is it like a cut and dry explanation of like credit scores and how a credit card works? Or is there any sort of leaning like, you know, how Dave Ramsey is totally against credit and it's stupid and you just don't do it? Or like where
No.
the other you need a budget, they're pretty adamant that like credit score is something really important. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so credit, it's Dave Ramsey is not mentioned in any of our coursework. So just to answer that, and our lessons are designed to be it's informational, right? Like this is important because this could, if we don't do this, then this could happen, or this, or it could negatively, poor choices could negatively affect our credit score, or the importance of why it's important to save, why it's important to
Right.
budget. So generic, but matter of fact, if that
Good.
makes
Okay, cool.
yes. All right, and then we have Smart Economics, which is one of our newer courses. And so this is all about those economic concepts, right? How the economy works. It talks about, this is like that entry level course into understanding taxes and what they fund. There's some really great conversational pieces that you can have with your students, like, why do you think it's important to have taxes? Do you think it's fair, or do you think it's not fair? And so really getting into those deep or those higher level DOK questions too. We're really having them determine, like, hey, we have to make real life choices here. We don't have a choice about paying taxes, but we can have an opinion about it, right? And we could, or even have conversations about why we should or shouldn't. So it could be a group discussion. So great course. I've had some teachers that have really had fun with this course. They've shared with me. And so they really tap into those characters. They start learning about the job market and, the economic benefits of trades. And so it's kind of like a story-based, interactive narrative type of coursework in the modules, the 3 lessons here. And there's only 3, they're 15 minutes each. So this is an example of one of those courses that won't take them a long time. And then we have Save Up. And so this one, the topics here, I'm just going to kind of speed through some of these now, but Save Up, because you'll be able to see all of this when you log into your dashboard. So I definitely want to get you guys there so we can have some time to explore. But the topics here, the importance of building an emergency savings plan, features of a savings account, and the benefits of keeping money in a bank account. Great course. Love that they added these because the Smart Economics and Save Up wasn't, when I first started almost a couple of years ago with EVERFI, it wasn't in our dashboard. Venture, another one of my favorites. This is an entrepreneurship expedition. Love, love, love this course as well. The topics here are building a balanced budget, identifying potential career pathways, basic business concepts, and the importance of a business pitch. They actually become the owner of their own food truck business in Venture. So it's a lot of fun. Like, I've had some really cool, and there's some great extended learning opportunities in your teacher dashboard, but they really have their own food truck, and they have a lot of fun with it. Definitely a fan favorite. And then this was our very first EVERFI course. So when EVERFI over 15 years first came about, the course was literally called EVERFI. So sometimes you'll hear me say, oh, are you guys gonna get started on EVERFI? And it's like, sometimes we don't mean EVERFI, but the financial literacy. So this is the FinLit course, the financial literacy course. Here in Southern Nevada, both of my daughters, their senior year, it's built into a lot of the history course that's required senior year with the economics semester. They will do this course. Debt management practices, financial post-secondary education, setting up short and long term. And what's really cool about EVERFI, the financial literacy course, is that there's a partnership in this course with Intuit. And so they have a tax, TurboTax simulation. So they actually learn how to do their taxes, which is great because, you know, kids are working at 15, 16 years old and up, and they've never filed taxes before. And so it really digs deeper into those filing their taxes. So love that course as well. That is also a great course, even though we call it our one-on-one course. If you're starting from some of these other courses, I think that it's a great like summative course to do, like at the once you've covered all the other courses. Build, another great one. This is all about credit. So credit worthiness and the impact it can have on securing credit, how applying for a credit card and the fees that are associated with them. So being safe around that, and interpreting credit cards. So that's our credit fundamentals course. And then we have Grow, which is all about financial planning for life, setting those short, mid, and long-term financial goals, the value of saving consistently, budgeting practices. Minding Your Money, which is another one of our newer courses. The topics here are the financial stages of life, how finances and mental health are connected. So I really love that because it's not often talked about. It's like, oh, you have to save, you have to budget, credit, but this one digs a little deeper into, you know, how our finances can affect our social emotional learning too, our social economic, and how that affects how they're all connected, how money can be connected to that mental health as well, how to have healthy conversations about finances as well. Then we have Money Moves, which is our modern banking and identity protection, checking versus savings accounts, because a lot of people don't understand students. I mean, I'm saying students, but there's adults out there too that struggle with that. I share this story with so I have a really good friend. I'm a Navy veteran, so we served in the Navy before, but she's a registered nurse now working on her PhD in nursing. I call her, she's a lifetime. She's been a student her whole the whole time I've known her, so decades. So she's a lifetime student. But when she first became a registered nurse, she, in her younger days, she got into some trouble with checking, and she had to go to the nurse board to get an exception to get into her profession because they do background checks to become, you know, a nurse. And so I share her story because I think it's so important. People don't realize how the career, like what you're doing today at 18, 19, 20 affects those goals you have when you're 25, 30 and on, you know? And so I think it's important to recognize that, you know, she got lucky, and, you know, I'm sure she's a great person. She just made a mistake. And so she ended up in those checks systems, and it haunted her later. And of course, she's, you know, has an amazing career now, but it can affect you. So anyway, I think this is another great course. And then we have Marketplaces, which is all about investing. It talks about the global economy and the financial markets, why investing is important, and how we invest in different stages of our life. And then Sustainable Investing Essentials, which is one of our newer courses. It's the overview of investing, sustainable investing definitions, the myths and facts, the myths versus facts surrounding investing, and the connection we have between our financial decisions and the sustainable impact of those financial decisions that we make surrounding investing. And this is a new course. It's literally about 30 minutes long. This one came about last school year because the talk of the crypto, right? Like, what is crypto? What is it? This isn't pushing that you should do crypto, but rather just like, what is it? The foundational principles of the blockchain, the basics of cryptocurrency, and the benefits and risk of using cryptocurrency. And so we're essentially just empowering students to understand what all of these topics are so they can have intellectual conversations about them, or at least say someday like, hey, I've heard about that, or this is, I might want to talk to somebody about this before I, dive into this further. And I also think these topics are important because a lot of our youth aren't having these conversations with their parents at home because their parents didn't have financial education growing up. And I've also have known people through my life that had terrible credit by the time they were 18, 19, 20, because their parents were even using their social security number for things. And there's stories out there. I even tell a story sometimes of my husband has a friend who got a full scholarship for football and still received financial aid, and he was sending it to his mom. And so guess he still had to pay that. Like, he didn't realize it because he wasn't taught that. And so knowledge is power, and it's not just cliche. Knowledge is truly power. And so that's what we're doing. We're just empowering our students to make sure that they understand. So accounting careers is a great one. This is actually more about careers, right? Because a lot of times when people think about accounting, they're like, oh, you're an accountant, you do taxes. And no, this kind of talks about all the different kind of careers surrounding accounting. So great course there. Pathways. A lot of our counselors love Pathways because there's actually a FOSA component, and it talks about how to finance that higher education for their students that are pursuing post-secondary education, or maybe don't think that it's even possible for them. So this course talks about that, and it goes into that deeper too. And Keys to Your Future isn't usually a part of our financial education and social studies suites, but I always add it because not only because it's one of my favorites, but my mom retired last school year from Clark County School District. So happy for her. But this was one of her favorite courses. She taught business and computers courses. She was also the FBLA advisor as well. But this course helps students explore career pathways. I think it'll be probably great for your class too, Kayla. But academic preparation for higher education, the college admission process, and paying for college. But I really like the careers component of Keys to Your Future. I actually did a first aid lesson, which I'm available to do that virtually or in person. We could talk about that as well. But I did it with the ROTC group at a high school here in Clark, at a magnet high school here in Clark County. Actually, I think it was Clark High School. But anyway, I did a lesson with their ROTC group because exploring career, there's so many different careers, and those young people they're trying to figure it out. They're thinking about it even when we don't think they're thinking about it. So really like this course too. And then, so when we're talking about how we can pair these courses together, this is just kind of a snapshot of what that could look like. I already kind of talked about Vault, Future Smart, Saved Up. If you want to specialize, Smart Economics and Venture go great together. Of course, you can do it however you want to, but this is just kind of how you can group those courses together. So 101, start here, then go on to 201, then you can specialize. So I would say this one definitely for my high school teachers for that second slide. And then last but not least, we have our history or social studies coursework. So we definitely think history is an important part of our learning and our whole child learning as well. We have a course called 306, which is all about Black history. A lot of my teachers use it through Black History Month, but of course, history is history. It can be used any time of the school year. Really love the course. It's great. They've really found people like we don't normally even hear about when we're talking about Black history, or that we grew up learning more about. So those names and those iconic people who have really made an impact in African American history. And then it kind of 306 stops like around civil rights, and then it 306 continue the story is going to be mostly what our students are going to connect to, because it's those that history that they've learned about through their lifetime, or even their parents' lifetime, even our generation, right? And so like Juneteenth is one of the topics, Black Wall Street, what that is, and the golden age of Black business, and then the trailblazers from historically to present day. So this is more of like a present day course. And then we have BINA, which stands for Building Insights to Navigate Anti-Semitism and Hate. And so this is actually sponsored by, oh my gosh, I just forgot the forgot the name, but they're in Henderson actually. And so they sponsor this course specifically. And so this course talks about the history of anti-Semitism, how it evolved over time. So we're talking about the Holocaust here, right? And the topics that Jewish people have faced, but also some stereotypes surrounding Jewish. And so it's a really great course. I've done some lessons surrounding BINA as well. But it even digs deep into the experience of immigration, how to be an ally, stereotypes on what Jewish people may look like. And so kind of negating a lot of those stereotypes as well. So another great course. So wanted to highlight those. But I want to take a moment now and to help you guys actually get started. So I know Kayla mentioned that she went to her Clever, but if you guys could do me a favor and go to your district's Clever, I'm going to skip through some of these because they don't apply to you. You are SSO. So it's going to look like this. When you go to Clever, I recommend hearting it, and then go ahead and click on EVERFI, and it should automatically register you. And I think you already did that, Kayla. Kimberly, did you get a chance to do that already?
Kimberly says she's doing it now.
Perfect, great.
And we're all commenting in the chat here about how we could have used some of these courses in high school, that we would have all benefited from some of these. And I mean, I have two grandsons, one's in first grade, one's in fifth grade, and you can bet I'll be figuring out how to get my fifth grader started.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree with you more. I just think it's so important, and you never can know too much. So even if they're learning a little bit at home or a little bit through here and there, like the more they know, the better off they'll be. And I certainly could have benefited from these courses as well. When I was a young person too. And it's so funny. I also tell the story. I'm like, my stepdad was an accountant and I still did. And I'm like, gosh, like, there's so many things that he didn't tell me. I'm like, so. All right. Once you click, do we have any problems yet with getting in there? Is there, while we're waiting, is there any like a particular course that you're like, yes, I'm super excited about this course, and this is the first one that I want my students to work on, because I could actually walk you through setting up at least that one class, and so that way you could kind of see in real time how to do that.
And Kimberly said that she's able to get in.
Okay, yay, perfect. Okay, so once you guys are in, you'll see here on these different boxes here, you're able to explore your courses here at the top. My courses are going to be courses that you already started exploring or that might have been recommended for you. So I always say start from explore courses first. But my classes is where once your students get started, you'll be able to see them all rostered by class there, as well as on the students tab. And then your grade book is where, I'm sorry, my classes is where the classes that you set up are going to be. Students will show up once they get started within those classes, as well as gradebook. You'll see them as they start completing their coursework, or if you want to track their progress, you would do that from gradebook. If you look at this first screen, data science exploration, you'll see a details button down here and an add to class. So details is where you will be able to preview the course, access the curriculum guide, lesson plans, supplemental lessons. All of those tabs will be under this details button right here. If you were going to set up a class here, you would just click on add to class where that blue button is, but there's actually quite a few ways to start a class. You can do it from the block for the actual EVERFI course. You could go to my courses and click create a class. So a lot of different ways to do that. And then assigning your courses with SSO or Clever. This kind of shows you here, that's that add to class button. But I want you to pay attention to this middle box. This is where you see where it says Clever Section ID. When you click that drop down, if you all can kind of do that real quick for me, we don't have to set up the class if you don't want to right now, but I want you to see that's where all your Clever sections are. Just kind of give me a thumbs up or tell us in the chat if you see those Clever sections. You should be able to see every period. It depends on however your school sets up your classes. You should be able to see them in the drop down. You might see two, like let's say you have period 1, career explorations class. You'll see 2 of them. The first,
oh yeah, it's showing both semesters or whatever.
you got it. That's exactly it. So the first one on top, generally speaking, is usually going to be your first semester. The one on the bottom is going to be your second semester. So here's where it gets tricky. If you have a high turnover if you start with first semester and you have a high turnover, or you have a whole new group of students second semester, or you get new students during second semester, and you're using that class through the whole semester, you're not going to see those students. But if you're only going to be using this course during first semester, then they'll be rostered in as they enroll in your course. So worst case scenario, you'll just add the second semester course later if you get new students or if you get a whole new roster. So shoot us an email if that ever gets confusing, or you're like, oh, Susie doesn't see the coursework. 9 times out of 10, it has something to do with when they started, depending on when they start. So that's exactly how you would set up your class. So if you were doing first semester, you'd click that first semester course, and then you will do a start date, which could be, your September class size. You have 35 students. You click the category for that many students, and then the grade level. You could select multiple grade levels. And then you can add another course. Now, here's the thing, like sometimes teachers, and I get it, if it were me and I were still in the classroom, I would just do one course at a time. So if I wanted them to work on accounting careers first, and I was giving them a week to complete that, I would not, and I was going to work on Future Smart after that. I'm not going to add Future Smart until we start that unit, because they're going to see the courses that you have them start. You can always go back in and edit and then add courses later. So if you don't want to keep saying, do not start Future Smart until I tell you, then just don't add it. We've all been there. We all have those 1, 2, 3, or 10 students that don't follow directions the first time and they want to move ahead. So if you don't want that to happen, then just add one course at a time. I hope that makes sense.
Or like
Mhm.
for my class,
Mhm.
all of my students are at different levels, even within one class period. Is it possible to assign one class to one student and then you know what I mean?
I absolutely do. And let me tell you how you would do that. So if you were going to do that, if you look at that drop down again where your clever sections, there's going to be some fine print that says set up a special cohort, I believe is what it says. That's what you would do. You would set up a special cohort. So let's say your first period, you didn't want all of your students to start on Future Smart. You'd set up however many cohorts you needed. Like, so you wouldn't use your clever section at all if you don't want all of those students to see a particular course. You would just, let's say you had 3 different groups in that first period, you set up period 1, name it what you want. They can't see it. They're not going to know if you name it red. You know, I know we used to, when I taught elementary, we used color. I had like color codes when I first started teaching. In middle school, I did group names, like, but it was in the background. I knew like these were all my students that scored this. And, you know, I'm ELA teacher. So I always had different levels and different groups of my students I was working with. So anyway, so yes, you can do that. And that's something we can do for you. If you ever want us to just set up your classes for you, shoot us an email. We can do that for you if that's easier or you're too busy to do it. When I say like we're here to help you, like we literally are. It's, don't ever feel like you're bothering us like, oh, I don't want to be, like, no, that's why we're here, to make things as easy as possible for you. So that's how you would do that. You would set up back in the day when I first started with EVERFI a year and a half plus ago, we're the only ones that could set up special cohorts for you. So I was so excited that they changed that last school year, to make it a little bit easier for you to do right from your dashboard. But that's the way you would do it. You do your smart, like a lot of my elementary school teachers, like we have WordForce. They'll set up different groups so they can track them by groups for WordForce. But anyway, yes, that is possible. You would just have to use the special cohort function. Your students are going to register the same way you did. I'm going to show you this screen, Kayla, because even though this is not the SSO, your students will still sign in through Clever, but you're going to get a class code for the special cohort. And so they're just going to enter this code right there on their screen. And then that's how they're going to see the special cohort class that you set them up for. That's the only difference between cohorts and using Clever sections. Everybody still logs in through Clever. So I'm going to skip all that. You can contact us here, support right up here on your teacher dashboard. You have support. You have our email support, which is going to say K-12 West, because we have all the West Coast states at EVERFI, but you'll see that on your teacher screen. If you ever needed any type of accommodations, just let us know, and we'll share with you how to get those accommodations. Learn On is we used to do this every summer, but it's coming up in October. So if you want, I believe you can click right here on this learnon.everfi.com. I think I have that link live. If you click there, you can get registered. It's completely free. It's a lot of fun and a lot of cool sessions. Like, it's not just EVERFI. It's not what we're talking about here. There's like, you know, how to balance, we even have yoga. We're gonna have like yoga, like yoga, mindfulness, learning mindfulness, how to get your students fired up, how to avoid the burnout. A lot of different fun sessions that are specifically surrounding educators. So please, you will get, I believe we're doing PD hours too, because I know Department of Education for our licensing requires that. So please use that link to get started. Whew, I know we've been kind of chatting throughout, but if you have any questions and answers, I have the answers, you have the questions. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. I think we only have like a couple of 1 or 2 minutes left, but of course you can always email us as well. If you want to connect with me locally, you can shoot that email and just say, hey, I'm trying to connect with Amanda, or I want her to do a lesson with my students virtually or anything like that. I'm happy to do that as well. If you didn't get a chance to sign in, please use this QR code as well, or the link that Joan put in the chat earlier. Thank you guys so much. I know that was a lot, but I appreciate you guys being here with me today. I know there's a session that's going to be starting here soon, and I have another one in 5 minutes as well. The next session is going to be on our health and wellness courses in another room, room 8, I believe. But I appreciate you. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Kayla. Hopefully I didn't go too fast for you, but please know I'm here anytime you need me.
Oh, that was perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Have a great school year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. Have a great school year. Thank you, Janie. And Joan, I think Joan already left, but thank you, Joan. She was great.
Yes, I'm covering for Joan. She's presenting in another room, so I'm covering in this session to moderate.
Love it, love it.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I know you I think you're in a different room. So
yeah.
If you want to stop sharing in your screen and then jump out, and thank you. We do appreciate Amanda. And I'm going to the Learn On. I've already registered. I'm very excited for it.
Whoop, whoop. I love it.
Thank
you. Thank you. All right. I will see you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
Hi, Kim. Hope you're muted.
Hello, how are you, Janie?
I am good. I am good.
Great.
Yeah, you ready for today?
I am.
Oh, so exciting. I know that super interested. I know I have a couple actually other presenters and then other moderators that are super angry that they can't be in some of these sessions. And I was like, well, they'll be recorded, so it's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, no, so thank you for being here. We're super exciting. Really excited to go through these sessions. So we start in about 3 minutes. So we'll go ahead and wait.